It's fascinating to delve into the world of numismatics, especially with a focus on Czech and Bohemian coins.
Absolutely. It's more than just collecting shiny objects. It's a window into history, art, economics, so much more. It's tangible history, you know?
Exactly. And it's a field with such a rich past, the hobby of kings, they called it. From ancient times to its systematization during the Renaissance. It's incredible to see how it's evolved.
Yeah, and now with this kind of comprehensive guide, we have so much information at our fingertips. Just starting with the terminology alone, obverse, reverse, edge.
It can be overwhelming for beginners, right? So, a clear glossary is crucial. Having a resource to help navigate grading systems, whether it's the 0 to 5 scale used in Czechia and Slovakia, or the international Sheldon scale.
Oh, absolutely. Especially the Sheldon scale. That's the key to understanding a coin's condition. And you mentioned preservation. That is so important. Storage, handling.
You know, it's heartbreaking to see a valuable coin damaged due to improper storage. Acid-free holders, a cool, dry environment, these things matter. Don't even think about cleaning those old coins.
No, no, no.
That's a disaster waiting to happen. You'll wipe away its value. Let's talk silver stacking. Why would someone do this?
Well, it's a way of accumulating silver, coins, bars, rounds, as a store of value or an investment. It's a hedge against inflation. Fiat currencies, they can fluctuate, but silver has intrinsic value.
Right.
And it diversifies a portfolio. It's a tangible asset, something you can hold in your hand, which is appealing in today's digital age. And the industrial demand for silver, electronics, solar panels.
It's not going anywhere. And compared to gold, it's more affordable, which makes it accessible to a wider range of investors. Although, it's important to remember that silver prices can be volatile.
Oh, definitely more volatile than gold. And VAT is a factor, too. In the Czech Republic, you need to be aware of those regulations. They can really impact the overall cost.
Exactly. And of course, security is paramount. You've got to keep that silver safe.
So, what types of silver should one consider for stacking?
Well, there's bullion coins, your silver eagles, maple leafs, Czech National Bank commemorative coins. Then there are numismatic coins, older coins with collector value. And then there's junk silver.
Junk silver. What's that exactly?
Older, circulated coins. Their numismatic value is minimal. They're valued for their silver content. And then you have silver rounds and bars, of course.
And the choice of what to stack really depends on your goals, right? Bullion coins and bars if you're after pure silver content, numismatic coins for that dual value.
Yes, and remember the flexibility of selling. Smaller denominations are easier to liquidate.
Good point. Now, about silver purity.
Purity, weight, premiums. These are all key. 0.999 fine silver is your purest. Then you have 0.925 sterling silver, used in jewelry and some older coins. Czech commemorative coins issued since 2011 are 0.925, but earlier ones were 0.900.
There's a lot of variation there. And troy ounces, grams, kilograms, gotta be familiar with those weight measurements, too.
Absolutely. And understanding spot price versus premiums. That's important for any serious stacker. Premiums can vary wildly.
Yeah, smaller items and collectible coins tend to have higher premiums. It all adds up.
So, we were talking about premiums, right? It's amazing how much they can vary. You can have two coins of the same silver content, but vastly different premiums.
Exactly. Rarity, condition, demand all play a role. And don't forget those special commemorative issues. They can command serious premiums, sometimes even before they're released.
Speaking of cost, VAT is a big one to watch out for, especially in the Czech Republic. It can add up. You'd think silver, being an investment, might get a break, but...
Yeah, unlike gold. The rules can be tricky. Those recent court rulings on silver coins and VAT are something every stacker needs to be aware of. You don't want any surprises come tax time.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the taxes. There are other legal things to keep in mind, too. Anti-money laundering regulations, for example. Large cash transactions.
Right.
And if you're dealing with older, historically significant coins, there's the whole cultural heritage aspect. Export permits and all that. Important to do things by the book.
Definitely. And let's not forget the ethical considerations. Authenticity, provenance, crucial for serious collectors. And fair dealing, obviously. Nobody wants to get scammed.
It's like any field. There are reputable dealers and not so reputable ones. Do your research, get a second opinion if you're unsure. And archaeological finds? Leave those to the experts.
Exactly. There's a whole separate conversation to be had about responsible collecting there. Another ethical dimension to think about, similar to blood diamonds, is the source of the silver itself.
Yeah, it's trickier to trace with generic silver than, say, gemstones, but still worth considering. So, we've covered the modern aspects, but what about the history of all this? Czech coinage has such a rich past.
It really does, going all the way back to the dinars of Boleslav I in the 10th century. Imagine those early silver coins circulating in Bohemia. Fascinating.
Those early pre-Misslid dinars, so much history packed into those little pieces of silver. And then the bracteates, those thin, single-sided coins.
Yeah, quite a change from the dinars. Larger, flatter, sometimes mute, without inscriptions. Introduced by Premisl Otakar, I saw quite a few rulers use them until the big monetary reform. When Ceslas II, he really shook things up.
The Prague groschen, a game changer. 1300 AD, huge, high-purity silver, based on the French gros tournois. Suddenly Bohemia was a major economic player.
And Kutna Ora, that's where the magic happened. Vast silver deposits, the royal mint, all thanks to that silver rush.
It's amazing how one discovery can reshape an entire economy. The Bohemian crown, the rampant lion. Those iconic designs became a symbol of stability and quality across Central Europe.
For centuries. But even the Prague groschen couldn't escape the pressures of political turmoil and financial strain. The later issues, particularly under Wenceslas IV, well, they weren't quite up to the same standard.
Decline is inevitable, I suppose. Still, it's impressive how long it remained a dominant currency. But then, a new silver source emerged. Jakimov, right?
Jakimov, the Joachimsthaler, the Toller. That's where we get the word dollar from. Amazing, isn't it? Those count slick. They really struck gold, or rather silver.
And then the Habsburgs came along. Centralized minting integrated Bohemia into their monetary system. Prague, Kutna Ora, Jakimov, all churning out coins under Habsburg rule.
Rudolph II, especially. His reign in Prague was a golden age, literally, for Bohemian numismatics. The artistry, the quality, incredible.
But then, the 30 Years' War. Chaos. Debased coinage. Emergency issues. A dark time for numismatics. And what about the Maria Theresa Thaler?
Ah, the MTT. An Austrian coin? Yes, but with strong ties to Bohemia. The silver often came from Bohemian mines. And its impact, global. Traded across the Levant, Africa, still being restruck today.
Remarkable longevity. And the Conventions Thaler of 1750? That had a lasting influence on Bohemia's coinage, tying it into the wider European system. So much history to unpack here.
So, the Conventions Thaler tied Bohemia into that larger European monetary system, right? But then things shift again. The 19th century rolls around, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and what happens to coinage then?
Well, the Habsburgs, they were all about unifying things, including currency. It took a while, but they eventually got there.
Right, they had that Österreichische Währung, starting in 1857. Based on the Zollpfund, 500 grams of silver. Seems like a lot, doesn't it?
It does. And the Vereinsthaler, the Union Thaler, was key. Part of a monetary treaty with those German states. Gulden, Kreutzer, those denominations were still around, too.
Gulden tied to the franc, I see. 4 and 8 gulden equivalent to 10 and 20 francs of the Latin monetary union. Interesting how these systems interconnected. And ducats, those were still hanging around, weren't they?
Yep, still in the mix. But then in 1892, a big change. The krone, or koruna, as it was known in Bohemia. The gold standard arrives.
The krone, double the value of the gulden. And they had silver kronen coins, too. 1, 2, 5, but 0.835 silver, not pure.
Yeah, and those gold ones. 10, 20, 100 kronen. 90% gold. Pretty impressive. Mints in Vienna and Kremika churning these out.
Vienna, mainly for the Austrian side. Kremika for Hungary, although both circulated in Bohemia. Of course, World War I throws a wrench in everything.
Oh yeah. Silver disappears. Iron coins, base metal, a sign of the times. Then boom. The empire dissolves. Czechoslovakia is born. And with it, the Czechoslovak koruna.
The KCS. At first, they were overstamping those old Austro-Hungarian banknotes. Can you imagine? Then, new coins start to appear.
5 KCS coins, 10, 20. Silver content fluctuates, though. 70%, then 50%, depends on the year. Gutfreund, Herejk, Espanyol. These artists designed some beautiful coins.
They really did. Linden branches, factories, portraits of Masaryk, and those commemorative issues. The 10th anniversary of the Republic, for instance. Kremika was the main mint now, right?
Right.
But then another war. The Protectorate. No more silver circulating. Zinc, aluminum, grim times.
After the war, the KCS comes back. Mostly base metal for circulation. But the commemorative coins, those were still silver. 10, 25, 50, even 500 KCS. Different purities over the years.
Charles University, the National Theatre, historical figures, important events. These weren't just coins. They were little works of art. And then, 1993, the Velvet Divorce. Czechoslovakia splits. The Czech Republic and the Czech koruna is born.
So, we've talked about the history, the value, the different types of Czech coins, but how do you actually get your hands on these treasures? Where do you start looking?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Luckily, there are a few good options. If you're in the Czech Republic, local coin dealers are a great starting point. You can actually see the coins, hold them, get a feel for them.
Right, places like Zlatmints, we mentioned them earlier, or Annium Aurum, Numismatics. There are quite a few reputable dealers around.
Oh, and coin shows. Those are fantastic. The Burzy, as they call them. So much to see. So much to discover.
You get to see a wider variety, meet other collectors, haggle a bit. It's a whole experience.
Totally. And online? There are several options these days.
Online is huge. Akaro.cz is popular locally. eBay is always an option. And then you have more specialized dealer websites. But buyer beware. Always double-check the information, compare prices, look at the seller's reputation.
Yeah, online can be a minefield. Verification is key. Numista.com is a great resource for that, by the way.
Oh, how so?
It's this massive online catalog, user-driven, but really comprehensive. Images, technical data, mintage figures, it's a great way to cross-reference what you see on those auction sites.
Makes sense. And for modern Czech commemorative coins, the Czech National Bank website is the gold standard. Literally.
Huh. Good one.
Official info, clear images, you can't beat it.
So, you found some coins you're interested in. How do you know what they're worth? How do you avoid overpaying? I mean, besides comparing prices and checking those online resources, what else can you do?
Well, understanding grading is crucial. That's where those grading systems come in. The local Czech/Slovak system, the Sheldon scale, gotta know the difference.
Right, because a coin's condition is everything. A 1 in the Czech system is a beautiful coin, but it's not the same as a mint state 70 on the Sheldon scale.
Exactly. And even within those scales, there are nuances. A mint state 65 is worlds away from a mint state 70 in terms of value.
So, knowing the grading system is one thing, but how do you actually apply it? How do you look at a coin and say, okay, this is a VF 20 or this is a 2 on the Czech scale? That takes practice, right?
Oh yeah, lots of practice. comparing your coins to images in catalogs, looking at certified coins, talking to experienced collectors.
And reading. There are some excellent numismatic periodicals out there. The Numismatici Bornik, Numismatici Kasopis. These often have detailed articles on specific types, varieties.
They can really help you pinpoint those subtle differences that can make a huge difference in value.
Exactly. And don't forget the Czech Numismatic Society. They're a wealth of information.
They have branches all over the country. Definitely worth connecting with them. They can point you to the best resources for your specific collecting interests.
So, we've covered a lot of ground from history to grading, but let's get practical. Where do you actually find these Czech coins? It's not like you can just stroll into Tesco and pick up a Prague Roshan.
Ha.
No, not quite. But there are more options than you might think. Local coin dealers, for one. They're a great place to start, especially if you're new to collecting.
Yeah, you can see the coins in person, ask questions, get a feel for the market.
Exactly. And there are some good ones in the Czech Republic. Zlatmins, Antium Aurum, Numismatica Kinga, we've mentioned a few already.
Oh, and coin shows. The Burzy, right? Those are must. So much to see, so much to discover.
Oh yeah? What's so special about them?
Well, you get a huge variety of coins, often from different eras and regions. It's a chance to meet other collectors, haggle a bit. It's a whole experience.
And for international collectors, the Spiritel Fair in Prague is a big one. Draws people from all over.
I see. Interesting. And what about online resources? I imagine that's a big part of the market these days.
Huge. Akaro, CZ is popular in the Czech Republic. Then you have eBay internationally, but be careful. Lots of fakes out there.
Buyer beware, right? OneBid.cz is another online auction platform worth checking out, I've heard. Features auctions from various European houses.
Right, and then there are more specialized dealer websites. The Czech Mint, for example. They have their own online shop.
Oh yeah, for modern Czech coins, the Czech Mint website is the best source, I suppose. Official info, clear images can't beat it.
Agreed. And don't forget flea markets. The Blisi TRHY. You might find a hidden gem or a clever fake. Definitely needs some expertise to navigate.
Huh, yeah, probably not the best place for beginners. So, let's say you found a coin you're interested in. How do you know if it's the real deal? How do you avoid getting scammed?
Well, first of all, know your source. Know the coin or know the seller, as they say. Reputable dealers are key. And don't be shy about asking for a second opinion. Experienced collectors can be a great help.
Right? And for high-value items, professional authentication services are an option, though maybe not as common for typical Czech material, unless it's exceptionally rare. What about those pesky modern Chinese fakes? You mentioned them earlier.
Oh, yeah, those are everywhere. Be very wary of rare coins offered cheaply from Asia. Often very deceptive. Compare with known genuine examples. Use catalogs, online databases, even museum collections.
Makes sense. And what are some telltale signs of a fake? What should you look for?
Mushy details, pitting any signs of casting. Although some early coins were cast, most historical Czech coins were struck. So, that's a red flag. Incorrect weight or dimensions, unnatural toning, all things to watch out for.
Oh, what about the style of the coin? The artwork, the lettering, does that play a role?
Absolutely. Fakes often have stylistic errors. Does the portrait look right? Is the lettering consistent with the period? These details matter. And edge features. Modern fakes often neglect those.
Good point. So authenticity is one thing, but then there's grading. How do you know what a coin is worth? Sellers' grades can be subjective, right?
Oh yeah. Learn to grade yourself. Use those established standards we talked about, the Czech/Slovak system, the Sheldon scale. It takes practice, but it's worth it.
And photos can be deceiving. If you're buying online, high-quality images are a must. Both sides and the edge. What else? What about pricing?
Research recent sale prices. Don't be afraid to negotiate politely, especially at coin shows. And factor in those extra costs. Buyers' premiums at auctions, shipping, VAT, it all adds up.
VAT, yeah, can't forget about that. So, apart from dealers and auctions, Are there other ways to connect with the Czech numismatic community?
Absolutely. The Czech Numismatic Society is the main organization. They have branches all over the country. Lectures, publications, a network of fellow collectors. It's a great way to learn and connect.
Local numismatic clubs are another option. Even smaller towns might have informal groups. And online forums. Coin Talk, Czech language forums, lots of opportunities to discuss and learn.
Networking is key, really. You can trade duplicates, get advice on purchases, learn about new finds and literature, invaluable for any collector.
So, we've covered where to find these coins, but there's a whole other level to this. Stacking. Specifically, stacking silver.
Right. We touched on it earlier, but let's dive deeper. What are the options in the Czech Republic?
Well, for starters, junk silver. Older circulated coins.
Valued for their silver content, not numismatic value.
Got it.
What else?
Then you have your modern Czech silver bullion coins. The Czech Lion series from the Czech Mint, for example.
Oh yeah? Those are specifically for investors, right? 0.999 fine silver.
Exactly. Like your silver eagles or maple leafs, but with a Czech twist. And then there are the Czech National Bank commemorative coins.
The 200 kc and 500 kc ones. 0.925 silver.
A bit less pure, but they offer a way to stack silver with a Czech identity. And the CMB website is a great resource for those.
So, where do you actually buy this stuff?
Lots of options. Precious metal dealers, of course.
Places like Zlata KY, CZ, Besser Gold, Silverum, we mentioned some earlier. They usually carry international bullion coins, too.
Right. And then there are numismatic dealers, online marketplaces like okro.cz.
Okro can be a bit of a minefield, though. Gotta be careful with authenticity.
Definitely. And the Czech Mint directly sells their own issues. Commemoratives, Czech Lion coins.
Oh, and pawn shops. You might find a bargain, but buyer beware.
Huh. Yeah. You never know what you'll find there. So, let's say you're ready to start stacking. What are some good strategies?
Well, dollar cost averaging is popular. Investing a fixed amount regularly, regardless of the price.
Smooths out those market fluctuations. Buying the dips is another approach. Waiting for those price drops.
Requires patience, though, and focusing on low premiums. Larger bars, junk silver.
But if you're focusing on Czech silver, you might accept slightly higher premiums for those historical or commemorative coins.
Right, that Czech connection. And diversification is key. Mix it up a bit.
Some generic silver for bulk, some historical Czech pieces, some modern commemoratives.
And set some goals. How much do you want to stack? What's your budget? Don't go overboard.
Good advice. And remember liquidity. Smaller denominations are easier to sell if you need to.
Okay, so you've got your silver stack. Now, where do you keep it safe?
Security. That's a big one. A good quality safe, well hidden, that's a start.
Or multiple hiding spots. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly. And discreet packaging. You don't want anything that screams valuables.
And keep it dry. Silver tarnishes. Silica gel packets are your friend.
What about a bank safe deposit box? Bankovní šranka.
Secure, but access is limited. And they're usually not insured by the bank itself. You'd need a separate policy.
And then there's third-party vault storage. For larger holdings, but fees apply.
Do your research on those. Reputation, security measures, it's important. And insurance. Don't forget insurance.
Homeowners insurance might have limited coverage. You might need a specific rider or a separate collectibles policy.
And documentation is crucial. Photos, descriptions, receipts, keep good records. Especially if you're insuring for collector value, not just melt value.
So we've talked about acquiring coins, but what if you want or need to sell? When's the right time?
Well, obviously financial need is a big one. Sometimes life throws you a curveball and you need to liquidate some assets.
Right? Or maybe the market's hot. Silver prices spike, or a particular coin you have suddenly becomes highly sought after. That's a good time to consider selling.
Yeah, strike while the iron is hot, as they say. Or maybe you're just rebalancing your portfolio. shifting assets around, diversifying.
Or maybe you're upgrading your collection, selling some of your more common pieces to fund the acquisition of something truly special. A rare Prague Groschen, perhaps?
Oh, absolutely. Or maybe you've just lost interest. Your collecting goals have changed. You're moving on to a different area. It happens.
It does. So, you've decided to sell. But where? That's the next question, right?
Right.
Dealers are the quickest option. Walk in, walk out with cash. But you'll probably get a wholesale price, not retail.
Yeah, they gotta make a profit too. For bullion, precious metal dealers are the way to go. They'll buy based on the spot price, minus their buyback margin.
For numismatic coins, though, you'll want a coin dealer specializing in Czech material. They'll understand the nuances, the historical significance.
Exactly. Auctions can fetch higher prices, especially for desirable pieces. But there are fees involved, and it takes time.
Online marketplaces like Acro or eBay, you set the price, but you're responsible for everything. Listing, photos, shipping, dealing with buyers.
It's a lot of work. Coin shows are another option. You can offer your coins to multiple dealers. See who give you the best offer. Oh yeah? Interesting. What about selling directly to other collectors? Cut out the middleman.
You can, and sometimes you get a fair price for both buyer and seller. But finding the right buyer can be a challenge.
So, how do you maximize your returns? What are the key things to keep in mind?
Well, first and foremost, know what you have. Proper identification and grading are crucial. A 2 is not a 1, and that can make a huge difference in value.
Right? And research current market values. Check recent sales, see what similar coins are going for.
Presentation matters, too. Good photos if you're selling online, clear descriptions, make your coins look appealing.
And sell to the right venue. Bullion to bullion dealers, common numismatic items to general coin dealers, rare items to specialized dealers or auctions. Makes sense.
And be patient, especially with rare items. Finding the right buyer at the right price can take time.
So, you've built your collection, maybe even started stacking some silver. How do you stay updated with market trends and new issues?
For silver, follow financial news sites that cover commodities. Kitco, Bloomberg, Reuters, they all have good coverage.
And the websites of major bullion dealers often have market commentary and analysis.
For Czech numismatic trends, the Czech National Bank website is your go-to source for new commemorative coin issues. The Czech Mint website for their new issues and investor coins.
Numismatic periodicals and websites are great too. And auction catalogs. You can see what's in demand, what's achieving high prices.
Joining numismatic societies or clubs is a great way to stay connected. Discussions with fellow collectors, insider tips,
And attending coin shows. You see the new issues firsthand, gauge market sentiment. It's invaluable.
So, let's say you've caught the bug. You've got the basics down. You're building your collection. What's next? How do you take it to the next level?
Specialization. Dive deeper into a specific area that fascinates you. Maybe a particular ruler, like Charles IV or Rudolph II, or a specific period, like the Hussite Wars and its numismatic impact.
Or a specific mint. The varieties of Kutna Ora Groschen, for instance. Or die studies, identifying coins struck from the same dies. Fascinating stuff.
Counterstamps, emergency coinage, metals related to Bohemian history. There are so many possibilities.
And where do you go for this advanced research? Academic publications, museum archives, specialized literature.
The National Museum in Prague, the Moravia Museum in Brno, they have incredible collections.
And don't forget international numismatic libraries and societies. A whole world of knowledge out there.
And as your knowledge grows, you can contribute to the field, writing articles, giving presentations, helping newer collectors. It's a rewarding experience.
So, that about wraps up our exploration of the fascinating world of Czech coins and silver stacking.